crazy.
All I ever felt was this helplessness, imprisoned by a selfish bitch. Chew me up and spit me out. I fell for this so many times, it's ridiculous. And still I stick with this. I'm sick of this, but in my sickness and addiction, you're addictivist. They get evil as they come, vindictive as they make them. My friends keep asking me why I can't just walk away from them. I'm addicted to the pain, the stress, the drama. I'm drawn to shit. I guess I'm a mess, cursed and blessed. But this time I ain't changing my mind. I'm climbing out this abyss. You're screaming as I walk out that I'll be missed. But when you spoke of people who meant the most to you, you left me off your list. Fuck you, hip-hop, I'm leaving you. My life sentence is served, bitch, and it's just
We'll be talking about it. Yeah. Oh man, what a weekend it's been. What a weekend. What happened? Anything cool happened? No? Alright, well, I guess that's the end of the stream then. See you later. Oh wait, that's right. Killed the guy.
Well, Jyotsna, can you tell us more details that are coming in about Iran's Ayatollah Ali Khamenei?
Well, absolutely. Of course, as Susan just mentioned, this is big news coming in for the supreme leader of Iran being killed. Earlier, of course, there were just counterclaims about it.
But that's weird. He attended his own funeral. How did he do that? That's crazy.
Of course, we have, it has been confirmed that indeed Khamenei is now
dead. Rainbow.
Of course, we had reactions from Fars News, who had basically announced the death. Of course, we knew that what they actually said was that, I'm just reading out what the Fars News agency says. It says, "We lost the great leader and we mourned him, who was unique in his era in purity of spirit, strength of faith, resourcefulness and fierce courage against the arrogant, and jihad in the path of Allah." Now, this is a
how to piss off an entire region
just said. And
with
this
one
has
move.
He's been in power for so long. And of course, he came to power after Khomeini, and he's of course the one who actually overtook after the longest serving Iranian leader, Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, had. Of course, he overtook and then he became the supreme leader of Iran. This is the latest that we know, of course.
Yo, what is this? Oh, somebody, literally the opposite of their plan. Yeah, Trump was like, I guarantee you, Netanyahu was like, yeah, all we got to do, we got to kill the Ayatollah. Once they kill Ayatollah, they'll all just fold because they're not gonna have they're not gonna have leaders anymore. Once the leader's gone, then we just take over and we just tell the people.
Well, Jyotsna, can you tell us more details?
We just tell their people to take over the place. It really seems like that's what happened. Yeah, you're stupid. I'm such a dumbass, dude. He's just the biggest idiot. Yeah. Last I left us, we were up at 3 a.m. Watching cruise missiles go overhead. Wild.
ولا حد يكودوان نية متسنة والله الرنج نزيك سل صار غروي.
Yeah. So yeah. Started the war. Initially it was going to be Israel alone, but I think the US joined in because we can't let them have all the fun, I guess. Yeah.
Our billionaires. I stand with our billionaires.
Hell
10
yeah.
toes down twin. They need us
10
now
toes
more
down,
than
twin.
ever. I am ready to die for capital. Big business needs my blood to survive. I swear to defend the elite. Big O, big pharma.
Let's
big
go.
tobacco, big tech. The captains of industry are
Think
under
of all the
attack
money
by
we
the
can make
forces of evil.
by
And right now, do
blowing
you
the
know what they
Ayatollah
need?
sold.
Big hug. I love you, Elon Musk. I love you, Larry Ellison. I love you, Bill Gates. I love you, Mark Zuckerberg. I love you, Donald Trump. I love you, Larry Fink. I love
Doing it for
you,
the
Peter
Epstein
Thiel.
class.
I love you, Sam Altman. Time to stand on business chat. Protect these boys at any cost. I stand with our billion.
Oh, it's so cooked. It's so cooked, dude. All right, here's the fake news.
Breaking tonight, U.S. troops killed in the Middle East with a new round of missile strikes
on
and
business
new word
jet.
from the president on how long this operation could last. What we're learning about the deaths of American service members as you see smoke rising from
That's it? That's all they care about? That's what they care about the most? Is that... Oh my god.
explosions hitting the heart of Tehran.
Guys, we attacked an entire country and they killed 3 of our service members. Can you believe that? Can you believe they killed our service members? We killed their religious leader. 3, yeah, we killed 150 kids. 150 girls died in the girls' school. And they killed 3 of our soldiers. That's fucked up. That's fucked up. Can you believe that? They just won't let us get away with these things anymore? That's what why not? Why didn't they just roll over?
In Israel, casualties reported as Iran fires back.
Look at that. And Israel took casualties. That's crazy. Why would they do that? Why would they bomb Israel? That's nuts. I don't know why they would do that.
Today, these newly released videos from the U.S. military. More missile launches.
We're just blowing up their country. Why don't they let us blow up their country in peace?
Navy ship and strikes on key Iranian facilities. Tonight, President Trump telling NBC News Operation Epic Fury is ahead of schedule.
Dude,
Posting
Jesus.
this video.
We grieve for the true American patriots who have made the ultimate sacrifice, and sadly, there will likely be more before it ends.
His new warning to Iran retaliating tonight.
Some of you may die.
Targeting other Gulf nations. And the question, who will lead Iran with the Ayatollah and dozens of other leaders?
That's a
now
sacrifice
dead.
I'm willing to
Iran
make.
Threatening to cut off the world's oil supply. This tanker on fire at sea. What it could all mean for the price of your gas. And passengers left stranded as airports across the Middle East shut down. The travel chaos around the world. Then, with the fighting escalating, tensions here at home. The FBI investigating possible terror connections to a deadly mass shooting in Texas.
They would be investigating this guy.
Could it have anything to
Almost like, could it have anything to do with the FBI themselves?
do with the Iranian strikes? Our special coverage on Nightly News starts right now.
Yeah, the shirt said, I love Ayatollah. Yeah, I'm sure.
This is NBC Nightly News with Hallie Jackson.
Good evening. We begin tonight in the Middle East. And
That's it? That's your title? Fuck off, man. That's insane, dude.
Begin tonight in the Middle East, and new video today of another round of strikes in Tehran. You see it there. We're learning now that 3 American service members have been
Hallie,
killed
where
in
else
this
would I be
operation
looking?
to attack Iran, with President Trump late tonight pledging to avenge their deaths and bracing Americans for the possibility more troops may be killed. And new reporting tonight, our team learning the attack on Iran happened now because U.S. intelligence had been tracking the supreme leader, and they learned he would be meeting with senior officials that morning. Our correspondents are fanned out across the region and here in the United States. But we begin with Richard Engel on the ground in Tel Aviv.
On the second day of this joint U.S.-Israeli war on Iran, Israeli jets pounded what Israeli officials described as military targets in central Tehran.
What they describe as military targets? Does that include the girls' school that they blew up?
Iran is firing back, and now there are American casualties. U.S. Central Command reported...
They're really emphasizing on the American casualties thing, right? 3 U.S. troops. This is like the 20th time they've shown this. They want you to know. They want you to know that we got three. We got. It's our fault. The three. Israel. Who's up dying for Israel? Three U.S. troops were killed in action because of this.
American service members were killed in action. 2 officials tell NBC News
they don't say when, where. Oh, they were killed in Kuwait. Okay.
Killed in Kuwait, where the U.S. has large bases.
We grieve for the...
Did everybody know that? Everybody knew that, right? Like, it's just, it's just general knowledge.
true American patriots who have made the ultimate sacrifice for our nation.
Tonight, President Trump called on Iran to surrender, saying its military is collapsing.
The entire military command is gone as well.
The entire military command is gone. That's why they immediately and have continuously been firing on all U.S. bases in the region.
And many of them want to...
Who's buying this shit?
Saving their lives. They want immunity. They're calling by the thousands.
2 officials with...
They're calling by the thousands. Calling who? Calling him? What?
Knowledge of current intelligence tell NBC News the Iranian government no longer controls all of its military and that some units are now operating independently, a potential recipe for chaos. In an interview with Al Jazeera today, Iran's foreign minister acknowledged some units are cut off.
Our, military units are now, in fact, independent and somehow isolated.
Israel's defense minister said Israeli jets can now fly over Tehran.
Yeah, well, so that's not what he said, right? He said that they're operating independently, right? So if you have a good military, that's what they're gonna do. It like, what is this propaganda from fucking NBC, dude? This is not Fox News. This is not CBS. This is just, what you expect to be a trusted news outlet in the West. MAGA, MAGA, MAGA. I don't.
Unopposed.
You see, say it 3 times. Do morons show up? Is that what you're doing?
Carrying out strikes at will. Explosions ripped through the Iranian capital, home to more than 10 million people. Israel and the United States have been systematic.
Bro's throwing water at the fucking mirror in the dark and fucking calling him summoning idiots, I guess. Oh, I forgot to do this. Trump will win this war? How? How is Trump gonna win this war? I thought you go Israel. I thought you said Trump's gonna win the war, bro. What are you doing? Are you America first or Israel first? Which one is it?
Iran's leaders, including the supreme leader.
We already got the leader?
Ali Khamenei.
The Taco Supreme? Like, bro, like, this is an entire nation of people. That it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you killed. Israel
Tehran
first.
Today,
oh man, Mossad's in the chat, bro.
Rallied in Revolution Square to mourn, showing support for the government, even amid.
That's weird. Trump will win this war, and then you're like Israel first. So, I mean,
the airstrikes. Many here today.
I hope it works out for you, man.
For revenge.
And you're,
Tehran, signs
I hope our unsinkable aircraft carrier doesn't actually get blown to bits like it's currently being done. All the major potholes that are across the entire city of Tel Aviv.
Battled opposition.
I'm sure we can fill them with something though. It's a holy war. It's not a holy war, you idiot. The holy wars were like millennia ago. You're cute, man.
After learning the supreme leader was dead. Iran's main target remains.
You don't know your
Israel.
ass from a
Today,
hole in the ground.
ballistic
You got your
missile
brain
hit
in
the
your
town of
fucking
Beit
butthole,
Shemesh
man.
outside of Jerusalem. It was the deadliest attack on Israel since the start of this conflict.
Oh no, not the deadliest attack ever. Bot behavior. Yeah, exactly.
This damage here was caused by a single ballistic missile that directly hit a shelter. So far,
EDS. I don't know what that
Israeli
means.
officials are talking about at least 9 people killed.
Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin
At
Netanyahu
least 9
today
people
showed
killed.
He's not
Wow,
afraid.
that's crazy. Liberal sheep don't know anything. Brainwashed all of you. Who brainwashed all of you? That's crazy, dude. This guy, radar for ears.
Killed.
Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu today showed
Yeah,
he's
y'all
not
think we're
afraid,
liberals, you
announcing the death of
dumbass.
Khamenei to Israelis while standing on top of Israel's defense ministry building in Tel Aviv. But there are growing signs.
Did he take that before he left for Germany? Trump derangement syndrome. Oh my god. All right. Anyway, yeah. Did he pre-record this before he left for Germany? On the wings of Zion. If you don't support Israel and Trump, then you're a sheep. If you're not on board with my sheepness, then you're the sheep. That doesn't make any sense, man.
Of
Anyway.
Israel's defense ministry building in Tel Aviv. But there are growing signs that this war could spiral out of
Yeah, we're
control.
goated in this chat,
oil
exactly.
tanker set on fire off the coast of Oman, and Oman's port attacked.
Yeah, they
Even
haven't
though the
said who
country tried to
attacked this
broker a
actually. There was Indian. This is an Indian and Iranian crew that was here. This ship hadn't left port since the 22nd.
peace deal between Iran and the United States.
This is a sanctioned ship.
Richard is joining us now from Tel Aviv. And Richard, you talk about
Oh my god, what
the
happened?
potential for things to spiral, and already we're seeing conflict erupt
All
in
right,
the
you were
region more
cute.
broadly.
I'll see you later, dude.
Hallie, one thing that I'm watching with great concern tonight is what is happening in Iraq. Iraq shares a border with Iran. The Iranian government has a tremendous amount of influence over what happens inside Iraq. And today, large crowds of pro-Iranian demonstrators tried to enter the so-called green zone and swarm the U.S. embassy. It is something that I know U.S. military officials are watching very closely.
Richard Engel in Tel Aviv.
Man, what's all this news? Why don't y'all tell me about, like, you know, what's LeBron James doing? What are the Kardashians up to, man? I need the real news. What's the weather like right now? Is it snowing? How am I supposed to know what's going on in the world if they don't tell me about the weather for the first 10 minutes of the newscast? All this war stuff. Oh my god, I don't even. Oh, she's wearing the yellow ribbon.
Military operation.
Is the yellow ribbon for the hostages still, or is this something else now?
And those service members killed. Let's bring in Courtney Cuby, who's with us here in Washington. And Court, as President Trump is promising to avenge those deaths, you're learning a bit more about the circumstances around what happened.
Yeah, that's right, Hallie. At least 3 U.S. troops were killed and 5 seriously injured in an attack in Kuwait earlier today, according to 2 U.S. officials. Now, the troops are part of an Army sustainment unit there. The military is withholding the names of the fallen troops until all of their families have been notified, as is standard.
War or soldiers or something? I thought it was for the hostages, man. Are we not? Are we done with the hostage? Do we remember the hostages at all? Nobody cared? Fuck.
Kuwait's government.
Wait, where's my file board? Soundboard. Gotta introduce my coworker to John Carricow.
says they have shot down nearly 100 missiles and 300 drones fired from Iran already. More U.S. troops have been injured in this operation, but including shrapnel wounds, some concussions. But so far, the military says they've been minor and the troops have all been returned to duty.
There had been this question of why now, specifically why Saturday morning, and our team has some new reporting that helps to answer that.
Yeah, finally, we're getting a sense of exactly why this began when it did. The U.S. military usually prefers to conduct these sorts of airstrikes in a hostile environment at night. It provides the element.
Yeah, at night at 2:00 in the morning, when everybody's asleep in the United States. Yeah, you know that, and also on the weekend, when the stock market closes, so that way none of you dumbasses know what's going on.
Of surprise and often means fewer civilian casualties. But these strikes yesterday were broad daylight. Now, according to two sources briefed on the matter, intelligence showed that Iran's supreme leader would be meeting with other senior leaders on Saturday morning. So the U.S. and Israel.
That's crazy. Why would he be meeting with other leaders? Why would they be meeting with other leaders in the morning when they're trying to negotiate a peace deal with the United States and Israel? That's crazy. It's almost like they did the same thing that they tried to do to the Hamas leadership in Doha. That's some slimy stuff, man. That is slimy stuff.
To target them all at once. U.S. and Israeli spy agencies have been tracking the Ayatollah's movements for months, and this sustained military campaign is now based on intelligence cooperation between both nations. The U.S. has already hit more than 1,000 targets in Iran so far, Hallie.
Oh, so it's over then, right?
On your beat, thank you. Thanks. Also tonight, questions around the Iranian strategy, given that escalation with strikes on other countries in the Middle East.
I can't believe this is like the news that people are listening to the whole time. No wonder they're as dumb as a fucking box of rocks like this chatter we just had in here.
Kier, what are you seeing on the ground where you are?
Hallie, after blast, day and night here in Dubai, all through the weekend with missiles and drones intercepted. Today, we are mostly hearing here fighter jets as they clear the skies, and our children's school has been cancelled. We've been hiding in place, but others are just trying to get home. Today, I spoke to a couple from Tennessee who are here for their 20th.
Wait, where is he?
Kier Simmons is in Dubai tonight. Kier, what
He's
are you
in
seeing
Dubai?
on the ground where you are?
Hallie, after blast, day and night here in Dubai, all through the weekend with missiles and drones intercepted. Today, we are mostly hearing here fighter jets as they clear the skies, and our children's school has been cancelled. We've been hiding in place, but others are just trying to get home. Today, I spoke to a couple from Tennessee who are here for their 20th wedding anniversary. Now they can't get back to their children, to their families. Both of the airports here in the United Arab Emirates has been closed, hit by drones. There is fury in the Arab world here that Oman was targeted after it was trying to mediate talks between the two sides.
Horseshit, dude. That is fucking horseshit. Oman is part of the problem.
And meanwhile, the State Department.
No one's talking about how it's sad for the Iranians. Yeah, what happened to that angle, actually? I thought we were so concerned for the protesters and, the people that are there that are unhappy with their government. We did 1,000 strikes, so you're telling me that we killed 1,000 military members only? How many strikes has Israel done? Like, I'm sure life is fine for everybody else there, right? Everything's going good? No?
Department has issued a caution for Americans worldwide, and the U.S. military has branded a claim by Iran that it is only targeting bases as lies. Hallie, all of this illustrates how this can easily spiral. Hallie?
Kier Simmons in Dubai, thank you. Let's talk more about that leadership void in Iran with the Ayatollah now dead. Raf Sanchez
Who
is
wants to
tracking
be
that.
a VJ? All right, let's go. Who wants to replace the Ayatollah?
Yeah, that's right, Hallie. Iran today announcing that a three-man leadership council is taking control following the death of the supreme leader. On that council, you have Iran's president.
Trump said we killed everybody, though. He said everybody's dead. Like, there's nobody else that can take the place now.
democratically elected but doesn't have a whole lot of power. You have Iran's chief justice, who has been sanctioned by the U.S. for human rights abuses. And finally, you have a senior Islamic cleric. Now, their job is to hold the country together until a new supreme leader can be chosen. And tonight, two sources tell NBC News that a CIA assessment made before the U.S.-Israeli attacks concluded that Iran's next leader will likely be a hardliner and potentially a member of the elite Revolutionary Guard Corps.
My brother, that's exactly what we're hoping for. That is exactly what we're hoping for. That way, and I've said this before, I really think you're right, and Trump thought killing him would end the government. Yeah, I really do think so. But, you know, Trump's an idiot. And he'll believe anything somebody tells them as long as they're blowing smoke up his ass. What is classic, though? What is classic for the United States to do, though, is kill the leader that's actually kind of reasonable, and then hope that we get a more extreme, a religious extremist. That sounds great. More authoritarian person. That sounds great. If they can be both, that's fantastic, because we can just point and say, look at that guy. He's killing everybody. He's doing it because of religion. And he's crazy. That guy's crazy. We obviously have to kill him then. What's he gonna do? He's gonna kill everybody. Why wouldn't we blow him up? And that's what we did. That's what the media filled the airwaves with, that narrative of these protesters are out there protesting and he's killing them by the thousands, tens of thousands. Tens of thousands of protesters have been murdered by his hands. Who would kill a protester? That's insane. No, we sure wouldn't do that here in the United States. I'm glad we've never done that recently. This year, or, you know, last year. But that's how we frame it. That's what we want to do. The more religious, the more authoritarian, the more communist, the more socialist, you know, these the new leader is, the better. Because not only is it going to give us a target as the United States, not only is it going to give the media a target to sensationalize and show that this is the new bad guy. Oh my God, he's even worse than the last guy. How did that happen? You know, not only is that gonna be it, but like we can. It's also gonna cause further destabilization of the region, because the more extreme they are, the more it's going to piss off citizens that are there. So they'll continue to have destabilization and turmoil. They'll continue to have disagreements. Their government will continue to fail. They'll continue to not work with each other if it's multiple different groups that are in the region, that are in the state, that are in the nation. You know, it'll just piss everybody off, and that's what we want. That's what our, you know, that's what the Epstein class has determined is normal. That, you know, these countries can't operate in day-to-day operations, because if they stabilize, then those are profits, those are exploited communities, those are exploited people, that we have the Buscemi emote, actually. I don't know. Oh, you're not subscribed. I'm gonna gift them a sub. There you go. Sorry, that's not a sub. But yes, welcome aboard. That's why I had to type it out. Yeah, but I mean, the more stable a country, a nation is, the less profits we can extract from it. And that's always the true goal here, right? With imperialism, is to destabilize regions as much as possible. and continue to exploit everybody for profit.
And Raf, the Iranian law is clear that whoever the next leader is, he has to be a man and he has to be a cleric.
Can you believe that? He has to be a man. Huh. Mamala wouldn't even be considered. And we almost had a woman president as somebody would have actually voted for her. But that's besides the point. Can you believe that? Wow, these guys are so back. Like, okay.
Yeah, exactly. And he also has to be elected by a body called the Assembly of Experts. This has 88 members. All of them are religious scholars. You could kind of compare it, Hallie, to the conclave at the Vatican, which elects a new pope. Now, we heard earlier today from
we killed their fucking pope, man. That's what you did. You killed the Islamic equivalent of the pope. Get to break a few eggs to make an omelet, says local rampaging egg breaking machine cursed with sentient spice magic top hat. Hey, you know what? Why don't we get the Pope next? You know what? If he doesn't want to join Trump's board of peace, he must obviously want war then. If he declined to join the board of peace, it would be fair. Yeah.
And foreign minister who said that assembly could potentially come together quickly to elect a new leader. But given the wartime chaos in Iran right now, don't be surprised if that turns out to be a longer process. Hallie.
Raf Sanchez, thank you. President.
Fantastic work. It sounds like nothing's going to go right. Oh, that's the speed ramp.
Trump has that new warning for Iran tonight, telling its military to lay down their arms or else, in his words, face certain death. Gabe Gutierrez is at the White House.
President Trump tonight with a new warning, saying Iran better not retaliate further, or we will hit them with a force that has never been seen before.
You better not retaliate. You better not do what you're doing right now, or else you're gonna be in trouble. You better not, bro. Yeah. You better not do it. You better not do what you've been doing this entire time.
Combat operations continue at this time in full force, and they will continue until all of our objectives are achieved.
The president returning.
The bombing will continue until morale improves. Yeah.
Late today.
Such a cry bully. Yeah, exactly.
Strikes from his Mar-a-Lago estate. Also speaking today with leaders from Israel, Bahrain, and the UAE.
Brother, tonight, Israel was in on that meeting right there. Because what's her name?
Today, after
she's wearing a what's the iPhone watch? The iWatch or whatever. Israel's in this meeting right now.
Monitoring this weekend strikes from his Mar-a-Lago estate. Also speaking today with leaders from Israel, Bahrain, and the UAE. Tonight, he's telling Americans to brace for more American casualties.
And sadly, there will likely be more. Before it ends, that's the way it is.
That's the way it is.
More, but we'll do everything possible
to ensure there's more.
Now,
dear sweet baby Jesus, please answer me this one prayer. You never have to do me any solids ever again. Just hit the Death to America button. Oh man. Hold on. Where's Trump? Where's Trump? Where is he? Is this one it? Yeah.
That often happens in the lives of courageous American heroes may be lost, and we may have casualties. That often happens in war.
Some of you may die, but it's a sacrifice I am willing to make.
The lives of courageous...
Wow, so brave. So brave.
The president with this message for the Iranian people.
I call upon all Iranian patriots who yearn for freedom to seize this moment, to be brave, be bold, be heroic, and take back your country.
Meanwhile, Democrats...
Yeah, don't look up what happened to Mossadegh, by the way. Throw in Danny DeVito penguin clip in Batman where he says the same thing. He's closer to Trump's shape and complexion.
Pushing back, arguing the president should have consulted Congress before striking Iran.
I think the president has started a war.
We should have got approval from Congress. Then we can blow up Iran. Don't they know the rules? First, First, you got to get approval for the war crimes, and then you go commit the war crimes. Then it's okay.
Choice. There was no imminent threat to the United States.
They're now calling for a vote this week to restrict the president's war powers.
He ran because a big part of the MAGA base did not want another war in the Middle East. This is a betrayal of a decent chunk of the MAGA base.
Still, almost all Republicans in Congress are standing by the president's actions.
The mothership of terrorism is sinking. The captain is dead. The largest state sponsor of terrorism, Iran, is close to collapsing.
That's insane,
Gabe
man.
is joining us now from the White House North Lawn.
This dude was like trying to recite his own poem that he wrote. So the yellow ribbon thing is for the soldiers? Is that what it is?
And Gabe, some members of Congress have said they want to hear more about these strikes, and it sounds like they
This
will.
is
coming up this
crazy.
week.
Yes, Hallie, top administration officials, including Secretary of State Rubio and Defense Secretary Hegseth, are now scheduled to brief Congress about Iran on Tuesday. That's according to a White House official and a congressional official. The House and Senate briefings will be classified. Hallie?
Gabe Gutierrez at the White House. Thank you. We are also watching the markets tonight with oil prices now surging after the attack.
Uh-oh.
Christine Romans is monitoring this for us. Christine, what are
Thank
we
you,
seeing?
Trump, for making the
big
money in my
reaction
pocket
so
less
far here,
valuable.
Hallie, oil prices surging as world markets are getting their first chance to react to those strikes on Iran. What happens in this region, of course, is critical for the price of oil around the world. Iran is an oil producer, a big oil producer, but because of punishing sanctions, most of its oil goes to China. But more importantly here, the Strait of Hormuz is that critical passageway. Hallie, 20% of the world's oil passes through there every day.
Christine, can't talk about oil prices without also talking about gas prices. What is the expectation on that front here at home?
Yeah, spiking oil prices will quickly translate into higher prices at the pump for American drivers.
Yay.
Put it this way, a $1 rise in crude oil prices generally means up to 2.5 cents more for a gallon of gasoline. So quick math.
I hope we end up with less oil than Cuba has now.
A
Yes.
$10 spike in oil would be up to 25 cents more for a gallon of gasoline. Experts say those higher prices at the pump, they could happen in a matter of days. How long they last depends on how this conflict
You know how
plays
much that's
out.
going to
And
cost me?
As this crisis unfolds, several major shipping
$0,
companies have told us
actually.
they're holding their super tankers outside
I
of
don't
the
drive.
strait. They're dropping anchor on dozens of ships. Also tonight, the group of countries known as OPEC Plus says it's going to agree to a modest increase in oil production next month as all of this plays out, Hallie.
A lot of dynamics there. Christine Romans, thanks for being all over all of it. Still ahead for us tonight, the deadly mass shooting at a bar in Texas, possibly terror-related. So could it have anything to do with those strikes in Iran?
Ooh.
Plus the domino effect on travel.
Was it Iran themselves?
With passengers around the world
We'll find out
now
after
stranded.
this.
New developments tonight in a deadly mass shooting in Texas, possibly terror-related, with questions
What?
on whether it may have been connected to the fighting in Iran. Priscilla Thompson is at
What? You told me that like 5 times now. I
the scene
wonder if
in
it is.
Austin with a warning. Some of the video you're about to see is disturbing.
Oh.
Terrifying moments inside an Austin bar.
Somebody advising there's a active shooter.
As a
Hold on.
Millionaires. 10
Yo, chill out. How many shooters? Mass are there in this pre? Thinking. 622. We have 2 a day. More than 2 a day. Times. Yeah,
gunman opened fire in the busy downtown entertainment district, killing 2 people and injuring 14 others. Here, you can see people inside Buford's Beer Garden taking cover.
Hey, close the door.
Multiple law enforcement officials telling NBC News the gunman wearing a sweatshirt that said "Property of Allah" over a shirt with an Iranian flag theme started shooting around 2 a.m.
Is this false flag? False flag alert? I mean, can you make it less obvious? I don't know, man.
What did you hear? How many shots?
Yeah, the first time,
That's
definitely
insane.
over a dozen, probably 15 plus, just at successions, bang, bang, bang.
Insane,
At
dude.
the intersection, he was shot and he was killed.
4 sources familiar with the investigation identifying the suspect as a 53-year-old naturalized citizen from Senegal.
It's still way too early in the process to determine an exact motivation, but there were indicators that on the subject and in his vehicle that indicate potential nexus to terrorism.
The shooting
Nexus to terrorism? What does that mean? In his vehicle? They said they found the Quran in his vehicle. Is that the nexus to terrorism that he's talking about?
comes amid heightened tensions across the country after the U.S. conducted military operations in Iran. Investigators have not linked the shooting to the conflict. Texas Governor Greg Abbott with this warning, writing to anyone who thinks about using the current conflict in the Middle East to threaten Texans or our critical infrastructure.
You fucking dumbass. This guy's an idiot, all right? Like every Republican commercial right now in Texas is basically, we're banning Sharia law. We won't let Muslims take over Texas. Like you're part of the problem here. You are partially responsible for what's going on and for these actions. Like this is on you, man.
Understand this clearly. Texas will respond with decisive and overwhelming force to protect our state.
Ow! Respond with decisive and overwhelming force to who? What the what is that? None of this makes any sense. I guess, like I said, if you're a brain dead MAGA supporter, then you're hearing the key words. You're hearing the key words that Trump always says. All the Trumpisms, all the good Trumpisms are flowing through your brain. And that's it.
Priscilla is joining us now live in Austin. And Priscilla, some of the bars and restaurants there are getting ready to reopen tonight, but they're going to add more.
The show must go on.
That's right, Hallie. There are FBI agents who have been on the ground going back and forth to that FBI vehicle as they are continuing to comb this scene. We are also told that there is going to be increased patrols and law enforcement presence in this area. Hallie?
Priscilla Thompson, thank you. We are back in a moment with the airports in chaos and the passengers stranded a world away from home after the Iranian strikes paralyzed some commercial travel.
Oh, the Iranian strikes did.
The chaos at
Can you believe what Iran did?
airports around the world with these weekend strikes, leaving passengers stranded trying to get home. Here's Valerie Castro.
Tonight, travel chaos rippling around the world. Major airports in the Middle East shut down after Iran fired a barrage of missiles and drones at countries in the Gulf. The region, a major travel hub. More than 1,500 flights to the Middle East canceled. Travelers worldwide impacted from Lebanon to India, even France and Germany. Massive crowds in Doha scrambling to figure out their next move.
People at the front of the line up there are waiting 3 hours just to get the voucher.
While at Dubai International Airport, passengers were evacuated after it was attacked. And Kuwait's airport.
Yes, News, please point out the locations of as many law enforcement vehicles as possible and movement patterns of the cops.
Also suffering heavy damage and a partial collapse.
Yeah, what part of these airports were damaged, actually? Was it the military wing? Was it the U.S. military wing of the airports that were damaged?
All travel after Iran and several Arab countries closed their airspace. Passengers left frustrated, scared, and stranded.
It's kind of been chaos here. All the airspace is closed here.
Oliver Sims was already in the air, headed back home to Dallas from Qatar when the flight changed course. He's not sure when he'll be able to get home.
But then all of a sudden the captain said that we had to turn back around and go back to Doha because Qatar Airways ordered all flights to come back to Doha.
Another American tourist, Sarah Gaither, now waiting it out in her Doha hotel.
I'm literally shaking right now.
As thousands more anxiously hunker down and hope to get out soon.
Valerie is joining us now from Newark Airport. And Valerie, some airlines are now closing bookings for new flights to the region at the moment.
Yeah, Hallie, these ticket counters normally serve customers flying El Al. That is the Israeli airline, but you can see they are totally empty tonight. The airline announcing it is suspending future ticket sales until at least March 21st while it works to get Israelis stranded abroad back home. Emirates Airlines also suspending its operations into and out of Dubai.
We need the bodies. What the fuck?
Until Monday afternoon. Hallie.
Valerie Castro, thank you. When we
That's
come
the
back,
least safe
flood
place
of
you can
emotions
be.
From Iranian Americans looking ahead to what's next. Finally tonight, with Iran facing an uncertain future, Iranian Americans here at home are watching anxiously and hopefully to see what's next. Here's Morgan Chesky.
Aren't you so happy we killed your Pope? Are you happy about that?
Iranian, but the world is gonna be a better place.
Tonight, from coast to coast, a flood of emotions for the more than 500,000 Iranians who now call the United States home.
All the diaspora of Iranians are chanting and excited.
Was she doing the... What the fuck?
Because we see freedom at hand.
Their glimpse of freedom many thought would never come after a regime that's lasted nearly 50 years. Now, as Iranians look to the country's future, some reaching for it.
Yo, hold on. What's this? I'm sorry, what? It's back here, too. Oh, no, is that the American flag? Yes, Texas flag. No, this is the American flag. Huh. Weird.
Some reaching for its past.
Get back to
make Iran great again. They're just MAGA loyalists. Okay, got it.
How Iran was in the 60s and the 70s, and a democracy where there's freedom and people have.
Oh, the 60s and the 70s were good times, right? He was there. Yeah. In between Ayatollahs, I guess.
Right of speech and right of religion.
In New York's Times Square, one rally's message, "Free Iran," heard loud and clear. While in LA, in the neighborhood known as Tehrangeles, Iranian flags covering every corner, with locals brimming with hope.
Everyone's dancing in Iran.
The last time Shailene Farabi visited her cousins in Iran, she was a young girl. Now, for the first time in her life, she believes better days are ahead.
Do you believe real change can happen now, and how?
I think it will change. Life will be better over there.
And for Mother Seppi Maccabee, prayers.
How's life going to be better because the United States and Israel are bombing it to shit? Is that how it's going to get better?
A turning point.
We were oppressed, and my parents left the country so that my sister and I could have a free life. My kids get to see a free Iran.
Freedom that tonight feels closer, yet far from guaranteed.
No, man, these are freedom bombs.
In Chesky, NBC News, Los Angeles.
Weird how bombs work. I guess they only kill the bad guy. They just,
for all of us here at NBC.
They have this new technology where the bomb explodes all around the innocent people. Like it's the U.S. and Israel patented technology. The craters are just democracy's footsteps. That's crazy, man. Yeah, what if we just bombed the entire country and capital, to complete shit, and then, set the whole place back to the Stone Age like we did with Iraq? That sounds like a lot of progress to me, I guess.
And have a great week.
Oh, man, I can't believe people watch this for 20 minutes, just straight through, no pauses. Just fucking straight to the dome, man. That's crazy. Yeah, here's Mark Kelly.
They went into this.
If there is a war powers vote, Senator, will you be a yes?
Well, I'm going to have to take a close look at it. I want to hear from the White House what their strategy is going forward. I would say at this point it's rather unlikely that I would be. that they went into this without any discussion with us ahead of time.
If there is
they gotta ask us to commit the work to go along with the war crimes before they commit the war crimes, man. Come on, give me a chance here. I want to be part of it too. Yeah, it's almost like these guys aren't gonna save us either. That's wild. Oh yeah, here's Iraq's airport. Speaking of the airport, U.S. military base targeted near Iraq's Erbil airport. No flat out or not, yeah. Sounds like some on-the-ground insurgents there. I wonder how many U.S. soldiers were captured, actually, that we don't know about. And this is the other question, right? If they did capture U.S. soldiers, would they tell us? I'm gonna need a bigger gun. Daphne sighting. This is going. So this is supposed. I think this went on for hours. I was meaning to pick up ammo this past weekend and let it slip. Probably will, because you know the gun nuts are gonna be stocking up as they usually do. Yeah, crazy. So this went on for hours. Apparently, I wonder why the airport's not. I wonder why they canceled the flights. That's crazy. But yes, Iran has been Iran and their proxies. This is a proxy. Did they name? No, this is a Iran-backed militia. It's SAD. The Sad Boys, I guess. I don't know what I forgot what their actual name is, but I know it's SAD. Yeah, they're the ones that are a proxy in the Iraqi region of where this airport is. Crazy. Didn't we have a war in Iraq where we overthrew the leadership there and now everything's fine, I guess, right? Huh. Anyway, it probably worked out. Who knows? I'm sure nobody knows anything about that. Gas prices. One last fill up before the Iran war hits the gas pumps on Monday.
Your daddy was home when you left. Your mama was home when you left. Your sister was home when you left. Your brother was home when you left. The dog was home when you left. The cat was home when you left. Your daddy was home when you left. Your mama was home when you left.
Buy $2 something a gallon. Send Baron starts trending online as war escalates. Why not? Why can't we send Baron? He's of age, right? Like he can go. I think he qualifies. I'm pretty sure. Oh, what's that? He's filthy rich and he doesn't have to go because he's the president's son. I guess we'll just have to, send somebody else that's poor or something. Wild times. Wild times to be alive in the United States.
Where have they killed?
Hold on. Here's what's going on MS Now, formerly MSNBC. Even those posh Brit princes rode around in a helicopter in Afghanistan. Yeah, I mean those guys went. They had like curated tours and whatnot. Why can't we send Barron? Stop electing strippers to government positions. I mean, I wouldn't have a problem with that, honestly.
Where, can you just tell me really quickly, where have they killed thousands of Americans in America?
Harry was a soldier, but he was a limited soldier. He was not a no limit soldier. Sex workers are okay in my book, but I don't know if this is supposed to be a derogatory comment towards that. But anyway,
I didn't say they killed thousands of Americans in America. I said that they have been responsible for thousands of Americans being killed, and I think that that's easily something that you can verify.
Where?
I don't know. State-sponsored terrorism for starters. Why don't you? Are you serious right now about that whole thing? I'm not going to list out exact specific locations. They've literally been responsible for sponsored terrorism.
Are you talking about the Iraq War where the U.S. invaded Iraq?
Are you talking about the Iraq War where the United States fought Iraq, who's not an ally to Iran? They hated each other until Saddam Hussein was killed by the United States. And now there was a power vacuum, and there was a lot of people that got sucked up, and Iran has favor with groups in Iraq now. You're talking about that guy? Are you talking about that? You're talking about Afghanistan? Afghanistan is run by the Taliban? The whole reason Bush got a shoe thrown at him? When did Iran kill thousands of Americans? I mean, the best Trump had in his speech was Iran was behind the military barracks explosion in Lebanon in 1983. That was Iran's doing. Well, actually, it was Hezbollah before it was Hezbollah. But still Iran. They back Hezbollah now. That was Iran. It was like 240 something soldiers. Still not thousands, but we're getting there. We're figuring it out, right? No.
By the 3 that they just killed. Okay.
Three, more like 3 million.
Actually talk about the facts here. I'm giving you the facts, but I'm not going to sit here and argue with you about something that's commonly accepted and known.
Congresswoman, you don't have a good understanding of the conflict.
Well, I'm the one that's getting the briefings, not you. You're a pundit offering your opinion because you want clickbait.
No, not at all. I've actually.
The most Americans Iran ever killed was probably those protesters that the Mossad claimed a couple weeks ago. Yeah, and those were probably just Mossad agents, man. I mean, I can't see the CIA having thousands of people in Iran. It's got to be just a few because we don't want to step on Israel's toes.
In the substance.
No, not at all.
We can talk about the fact that Obama sent millions upon millions of dollars to the Iranian regime, or do you not want to address that because it's not supported by your opinion and your network?
No, not at all.
Is this really even something that we're going to actually get to substance, or are you going to continue to attack this?
No, it seems like you just want to filibuster. It seems like you don't really want to have a good faith conversation.
Or you just don't like what I'm saying.
No, we would have invited you on the air.
This happens every time I'm on with you.
Yeah, you keep coming on every time, and you keep stating a lot of things that are incorrect.
Because
the United States launched an attack on Iran.
About it, except for you.
The United States.
This is just a completely unproductive conversation.
Iran right now. Iran retaliated in which American members.
Strikes.
You can call it whatever you want to call it, but at the end of the day, the Iranians responded and killed 3 American service members. So what we're trying to get at is you make an assertion on this air.
Yeah, they wouldn't have died.
When America sends
they wouldn't have died if Israel didn't just go berserk mode. That's really the whole justification of them attacking the military bases, which they said they would do previous to the attack. They said, hey, we're in the middle of negotiations, but if you guys attack us, just letting you know, we're gonna you'll see a fury like you've never seen before from Iran. And that's what we're seeing right now. It's wild. It's wild that they promises made were promises kept, and that only 3 soldiers have died so far.
Fighter jets, and Israel sent fighter jets into another country.
Boots on the ground are not going to happen. Congress will not vote on war with Iran
because you can't invade Iran. It's stupid to invade Iran through the ground. You can't do it. That's why they've tried having, protesters and Mossad agents and spies and all that stuff. Because you can't invade Iran through the ground and be effective. It's not going to happen.
You support, and that is not something.
This isn't World War II.
That's actually what the Constitution. The Constitution says that in Article 1, but I guess you think Article 2 is more important.
Article
so it's up
2 is when when the U.S. citizens and our military are in direct imminent threat. The president reserves the authority.
Yeah, well, he hasn't made that case to the American public or Congress.
Exactly
I haven't seen the case either. Like what? How are we in imminent threat by them saying they're going to defend themselves? Doesn't make any sense.
He's not going to give you classified intelligence
information.
He's not
supposed to give it to me. He's supposed to give it to members of Congress. He's supposed to go give it to members of Congress. That's exactly why members of Congress. You're only one. There are 435 members and 100 senators, and others have not gotten it. You're not the only one who gets to speak on behalf of the American people.
Prior to the strike.
Anyway, unfortunately, we're out of time.
There's a congressional notification. Oh, so you were okay with it? Everybody, they told you guys ahead of time. So much for the narrative that Congress wasn't told then, right? She just admitted that Congress was told, and not saying anything is definitely being compliant with the idea. This style of constant talking over means I've got to make out a single sentence. Yeah, exactly. It's really annoying. I have no idea what was said here, but I've lost 90% of my remaining spoons for the evening. Not the spoons.
There we go. You don't want to hear the facts. They got a briefing.
It's not a fact. I'm telling
you. They got a briefing.
Congress have said, and that's the whole point of them being able to have a debate in Congress.
Congress was notified.
That's not what members of Congress say, but really appreciate you.
Congress was notified. All right. Well, now we know that basically, Congress gave approval, but by not saying anything outright.
Different. Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna. Really appreciate it. Thanks for coming on. Coming up, how much could Trump's war with...
Fantastic work. I learned nothing at all. I don't know. But what do you expect from that?
And again, it is not the intention of the U.S. government to
More
invade.
from this conversation, I guess.
These are isolated, strategic, large-scale attacks. But again, there are negotiations that will take place, or at least open communication with the White House as soon as the president decides that he is ready to talk. And that has developed in the last couple of hours. So that update will come hopefully later on this evening.
I'm sorry, you say it's not the intention of the U.S. government to invade? Did we not just invade?
We are not invading. Are you seeing boots on the ground there? Because I'm not. And I've been told directly by the State Department that that's not the intention.
I mean, we just killed the leader of the country. That's not...
We killed them. Okay. Everything's fine.
Targeted strategic military strikes and invasions are two totally different things, according to military
terminology. They're calling it a war. The president
is calling it a war. It's a war, you idiot.
Airstrikes strategic strikes. Strategic strikes, and according to the White House, and I just talked to them and talked to the Secretary of State, strategic strikes are not war.
Really? So if someone bombed America,
do you see boots on the ground? War?
We just did a little part of a war, and then we backed off, and we're like, nah, we're just gonna kill the one guy. That's it. Everything's fine. Why are you mad? Why are you mad?
Oh wait, that makes no sense. So you're saying it has to be boots on the ground?
According to your own by definition,
so that's your standard.
The regime of Iran has killed thousands of Americans and murdered them. So by definition, they've already declared war on the United States.
I know. I've had Shiite missiles raining down on me too. I know how terrible the Iranian regime is. We are not debating that they are a truly terrible regime. What we're talking about is the standard for the commander-in-chief to commit our sons and daughters in the military to war, and going to war when it is in the national interest, and making that case to America and going to Congress and getting approval for war. So you are saying this is a limited mission that is only bomb strikes, so there is no congressional authorization necessary. How is this different from when Joe Biden bombed the Houthi rebels in Yemen without congressional authorization, and you oppose that?
Members, there are multiple wounded. And
I'm gonna assume she had no answer and just exploded. That's why they cut her off there. Yeah. All right. I had more stuff on this. Let me see. I gotta go back in time. Whew. Oh, what else? Yeah. All right. Yeah. All right.
Strikes targeting U.S. military bases in the region and Israel in retaliation for a massive attack that killed Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. As Iran confirmed Khamenei's death, its Revolutionary Guards vowed to launch the most ferocious operation in history against Israel and United States bases.
All sounds fine.
Later, Iranian state TV claimed that 27 U.S. bases in
ferocious?
the region,
That doesn't sound terrible.
Headquarters and a defense industries complex in Tel Aviv were targeted. Blasts were heard across the Gulf, including Dubai, Doha, and the Bahrainian capital Manama. Interceptions also took place over Israel and occupied West Bank. The attack came even as...
I gotta say, this is radically different coverage than what we were just watching on NBC News. They're actually giving you the details of what was hit, where, why, and how.
The attack came even as US President Trump warned Iran against...
Iran just stated that they are going to hit very hard today, harder than they have ever hit before. They better not do that. However, because if they do, we will hit them with a force that has never been seen before. That's what they said. You can't take their line and use it. Oh, God. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
Escalation. In a social media post, Trump said Iran just stated that they
maybe he's mad that they're saying the better lines.
They better not do that. However, because if they do, we will hit them with a force that has never been seen before.
You have to use his accent.
Ali Larijani, the Secretary of Iran's Security Council, justified that attack, saying American bases are not the territory of regional countries. They are American territories. He said that Iran does not intend to attack regional countries, but when the bases in the region are in the service of America, they will be attacked. Iran has already been targeting American bases in the Gulf. On Saturday, the United Arab Emirates said that 137 missiles and 209 drones were fired at its territory. The country's defense ministry said that 2 people were killed in Abu Dhabi, including a Pakistani civilian. Witnesses in Dubai said they heard an explosion and saw a missile streak across the sky. Smoke and flames rose from Dubai landmark, the Palm. A US base in Bahrain witnessed a missile attack. The missiles targeted a center that served as the headquarters for the US Navy's 5th Fleet. Bahrain's Interior Ministry confirmed that several residential buildings in the capital were hit in another wave of Iranian strike. Qatar's Defense Ministry said it had intercepted several missile attacks targeting the Gulf state. Loud explosions were heard in the Saudi capital, Riyadh. Israel's Megan David Adam Emergency Service said a woman was killed and at least 21 injured in the Tel Aviv area. The Israeli military said it deployed search and rescue teams to multiple locations across the country following
Tel Aviv, that doesn't look good.
Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Syria, the UAE and Israel all closed their airspaces to civilian traffic, at least in part, and multiple airlines cancelled flights to the Middle East. Russia cancelled commercial flights to both Iran and Israel until further notice. Iran's Revolutionary Guards also moved to close the Strait of Hormuz, a vital waterway through which much of the world's oil and gas passes. Well, for more on this, we were earlier joined by the West Asia analyst, and we are now again being joined by Dr. Avner Cohen from Monterey, California. Well, Doctor, is the security...
all right. Yeah, this is the response they gave. All for revenge. Iran raises flag of revenge over Jamkaran Mosque. Is that what we want? This was the response that we wanted, right? I mean, I guess. Yeah. What else I got? Yeah, huge explosions everywhere. Oh yeah, this thread blew up for some reason. Seeing normies not understand why Iran is hitting hotels and resorts in the region. In the two videos below, one is of a U.S. base in Bahrain, where a local on a scooter was able to drive into the base and video the damage. Why? Because U.S. soldiers have largely been moved out of these areas for their safety. Now you must ask, where did they move them to? Next video. I'm being told that this video is something else, by the way. But this is just an example, I guess, of a residential building being set ablaze after being hit by an Iranian drone. Why? Because the soldiers are there now. They have to go somewhere. They can't just, go poof and be gone. But this video was pretty wild. Oh, come on, man. PC issues every time. That's crazy. Hello? PC? Work? No. I don't know, I broke it. Thanks, Masad. Now my computer doesn't work. Hey, you. Dude, what is going on here? Alright, there we go. Working now. Crazy. Yeah, this dude rode a scooter all the way onto the U.S. base. I'm gonna go check out the bomb. Just straight up drove up to the base. It's like, oh, nobody's here. Alright, I'm gonna go check it out. Yeah, crazy. Alright, where was I? I was back here somewhere. Yeah, oh yeah. Actually. Hold on. Did we go here? Yeah, we saw this already. Well, I've pretty much already seen that.
And drones across West Asia.
Alright, yeah, got that coverage. Oh yeah. Here's these are the top anchors. The top anchors of NBC, by the way, NBC News.
So for clarity,
this is Laura Jarrett, and I forget this guy's name.
So for clarity, you said that your missiles cannot reach the United States by design, that you do not want to reach the United States, but you also said it would be necessary.
He just said they can't. So if you're saying they can't reach the United States by design and they don't want to, that's two different things, first of all. Also, if you can't reach the United States, why are you wanting to reach the United States? Wouldn't even be a thought. He's just trying to build consent here, right? He's just trying to manufacture some consent that, these are the bad guys, actually. They want to bomb you.
Necessary as a defensive vehicle that you could if necessary. So to be clear, are you committing that Iran is not and will not build missiles that would have the capability to reach the United States?
I can confirm, yes.
Sir, if that's a red line for you, why is attacking U.S. military bases?
If that's a red line for you, then why are you attacking if you can't reach the United States and you don't want to reach the United States, then why are you bombing the bases that you can reach? Because you can reach them?
Is abroad justified?
But because they are attacking us.
Yeah.
They are U.S. military,
Those military bases are being used as jump-off points to attack the nation of Iran. Why wouldn't you attack them?
Installations, facilities, bases who are attacking us. We are under attack. Why don't you recognize this fact? We are under the attack by U.S. by U.S. forces in the region. So we have every right to defend ourselves. And how to defend ourselves? We attacked, the U.S. bases. This is obvious. This is a very simple fact, and I hope that, and I'm sure that people would understand that. We are not the one.
What don't you people understand?
Who attacked Americans. We are only defending ourselves.
That's crazy, man. What, like? This is just office. Yeah, it's just this scene closes.
What you do in Initech is you take the specifications from the customers and you bring them down to the software engineers.
Yes, yes, that's right. Well, then I just have to ask, why couldn't the customers just take them directly to the software people, huh?
Well, I'll tell you why. Because engineers are not good at dealing with customers.
So you physically take the specs from the customer?
Well, no, my secretary does that, or they're faxed.
So then you must physically bring them to the software people.
Well, no. Yeah, I mean, sometimes.
What,
yeah, I don't think the issue was that he wasn't explaining it properly. It's just that, Laura Jarrett and what's his name just have an agenda already, right?
You do here.
Well, look, I already told you. I deal with the goddamn customers so the engineers don't have to. I have people skills. I am good at dealing with people. Can't you understand that? What the hell is wrong with you people?
That's pretty much how that interview went. Yeah. Give it to me, Jessica Burbank.
So we're at war with Iran, and I bet a lot of people are trying to make sense of this. And I want to read you something that Stephen Kinzer wrote in 2008. As militants in Washington urge a second American attack on Iran, the story of the first one becomes more urgently relevant than ever. It shows us the folly of using violence to try to reshape Iran. In 1953, the United States sought to promote its strategic interest by attacking an Iranian regime of which it disapproved. The results were exactly the opposite of those for which American leaders had hoped. If the United States had not sent agents to depose Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh in 1953, Iran would probably have continued along its path towards full democracy. Over the decades that followed, it might have been the first democratic state in the Muslim Middle East, and perhaps even a model for other countries in the region and beyond. That would have profoundly changed the course of history, not simply Iranian or Middle Eastern history, but the history of the United States and the world. So, the reason the United States deposed Mohammad Mossadegh was because he nationalized Iranian oil. The resources within Iran's border, he decided, should be theirs and not the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company or British Petroleum, BP. And so this was the Cold War era. The idea that a nation could control the resources within their borders was considered like communism, believe it or not. Free trade meant that United States-based multinational corporations could extract your resources and exploit your cheap labor. And so when really any leader would put a stop to that, we cooed that guy for many years. And so Iran today is the country it is because of U.S. intervention. And the idea that we could put a leader in the country of Iran that would allow us to extract their oil makes you wonder, what are our motivations today? Are they truly humanitarian? Is this about democracy in Iran? Is this about an oppressive regime? And pretty clearly, no, that's never been the motivation. Iran is a country that's thousands of years old. And they look at America like a little baby. Like you just got here. You were just born. You don't know anything. The idea that the United States takes acts of aggression against Iran, we think, we're the biggest, greatest country in the world. But Iran is truly thinking in centuries compared to how the U.S. thinks. It's a big gap. And I want to read to you something else Stephen Kinzer wrote. Let me pull this up. This was just a few weeks ago. Near the starkly imposing tomb of Cyrus the Great, who founded the Persian Empire in 550 BC, I met an Iranian who summarized his country's history in a single sentence. All of our troubles, he told me, started with that Greek, Alexander. More than 2,000 years have passed since Alexander the Great conquered Persia and ordered the destruction of its ceremonial capital, Persepolis. That set a pattern that has haunted Iran's history. No country on earth has been subject to so many foreign interventions over such a long period of time. So that was Stephen Kinzer in the Boston Globe on January 28th of this year, like a month ago. But I also want to go back to his 2008 essay, The Folly of Attacking Iran, which he put as the preface of the 2008 edition of All the Shah's Men, one of his best-selling books about American intervention. There is a special irony in the idea that Iran would be bombed by the United States to establish democracy when Iran being attacked by the United States in 1953 was to end their democracy, but okay.
Yeah, they're getting too stable. Gotta do something about that.
Here we go. Before great powers take far-reaching decisions that can reshape the world, their leaders normally consider the lessons of history. Any serious discussion about modern Iran, and certainly any debate about whether the United States should
The only democracy in the Middle East that's allowed to exist is Israel, all right? Why don't you guys learn that, Then we wouldn't have any problem. Hey, I think she has the same microphone I do.
Intervene there must include an assessment of what happened after the last intervention. In 1953, eager to achieve short-term goals, the United States launched an operation that brought calamity to both Iran and itself. Some in Washington, however, reject the idea that this history has any relevance in the present era. They believe that this time, the United States can attack Iran and emerge triumphant. I was talking with George Galloway like a few months ago, and we were on his show, Moats, the mother of all talk shows, and we were talking about Iran and the ramping up of, beating the war drums to go to Iran again. And the idea that Iran shouldn't be able to have nuclear weapons because they'll use them. And so our nuclear weapons are just about deterrence from other countries with nuclear weapons attacking us. So wouldn't Iran have the same motivation to develop such weapons? Why is it deterrence when we develop them, but it's an act of aggression when Iran does? So we can't have this kind of world order where sovereignty is respected if we're going to take these acts of aggression. It's just a bit of a mess. All of it's a mess, and I think there's a lot of motivations here. I think we could see the Gurian Canal get bombed into existence. I made a video about that. I'm going to put it in the comments so you can just watch that in full. But I can see they make the case, well, for our economic security, for our people not to starve, for our people to have the resources they need, we need a trade route. So we're going to bomb our way through southern Palestine in order to have a connection from the Red Sea to the Mediterranean. This is something that the U.S. Department of Energy has declassified internal documents describing, and I think Trump is just dumb enough to do it.
But, so many good things can come from the United States bombing Iran. Like, for example, the New York Times on satellite imagery analysis. Several U.S. military facilities damaged or destroyed, including communications equipment. Isn't that great, guys? Now we have less capabilities in the region, to the point where we have to sublet out from the UK and use their bases that are not damaged. It's going to work out really well, guys.
He's dumb enough to work with Netanyahu and the group of people around Netanyahu. I think that, the billionaire elite that provide our military with intense technology are definitely the kind of people that want war in the Middle East.
Israel's calling for a second wave of eliminations that needs to be carried out. This will accelerate the overthrow of the Ayatollah's rule. Wait, isn't he dead already?
At a great scale. And so we can see a lot of different outcomes. We're already seeing this war get hot fast. We've seen ballistic missiles be fired off by Iran. And it's pretty likely that those missiles were intercepted when they were in the boosting phase, which is lucky, or they missed their target, or for whatever reason, they didn't land. But who's to say if the next one's going to be intercepted? You know what I mean? It looks like Netanyahu, I've been watching the flight radar of the Wing of Zion, the aircraft that usually transports him and Herzog, and it looks like one of them or both of them is landing in Berlin. They had a hard time getting out of the Israeli airspace. They were circling for a while over what I can only assume is the Gerald Ford, which we know left Greece and came towards Israeli waters based on the flight patterns we're seeing. It seems like that's where it is. But we've also seen a lot of activity, in the Gulf by Iran, where we took our first strike, or rather Israel is taking responsibility for the strike on the girls' elementary school. What kind of a war are we trying to have if that's an initial target? Is someone in that elementary school a threat? I mean, it's the classic scenario of claiming there's Hamas tunnels over a hospital. Did AI accidentally hit this target? Why was this a strategic target? So looking forward to seeing how they're going to defend this, but it just reads as a disgusting act of aggression. We're not going to have any sort of civility in a war where we're starting it by bombing elementary schools. And so I wouldn't be surprised if they try to strike the mainland United States this time. We've enjoyed a lot of our wars over the past few centuries being proxy wars. This might not be a proxy war. This might be a war that spills over onto U.S. soil. So that's scary. That's not good. I really hope that, everyone that is serving overseas, they're operating the EKVs. But I hope at least a little bit. This helped you understand that Iran's memory is long and our memory is short. We don't even remember the coup in 1953. They remember coups going back to Alexander and Greece. But they remember that the United States was the nation that took democracy from them. So, and their resources. That's who we are to them. The idea that we would attack them again, I'm sure we seem like the crazy person screaming in the street. We're like the meth head of the world to people in Iran, if I had to translate the situation into layman's terms. I'm going to be publishing a piece this week. I'm trying to get it to its completed state. I think it's going to be the most important contribution I make to international studies, political science, political analysis, economic analysis, maybe ever in my career. So make sure you subscribe to my Substack to get that. That's where I'm going to post it. As always, if you have any information that you think could be relevant to investigative reporting at this time, my signal is KA Burbank.77. Let me know what you are thinking in the comments. Thanks for watching. Love you. Bye.
Iran's top official, Larijani, we will not negotiate with the United States. Crazy. In other news, Hezbollah has confirmed that they have re-entered the war against Israel. She's doing an Andor watch with her along with her community. That's pretty cool. I should take part of that. I still haven't watched it. Earlier, explosions and loud strikes in Beirut's southern suburbs as Israel hits Lebanon. This is before Hezbollah confirmed that they took part in the rocket attacks.
That a situation
that Israel says landed in the middle of nowhere and caused no damage. But because there were rocket attacks, well, now they have to bomb the entirety of Beirut and southern Lebanon.
Assessment is being conducted following the firing from Lebanon. As you know, we just spoke about it a mere 20 minutes ago. This is a rapidly developing situation. About an hour and a half ago, we had a barrage of rockets launched from Lebanon into northern Israel. At the time, there was no statement of responsibility. Now, the Israelis are saying that the chief of staff has approved the offensive plan for the next phase and directed that strong defensive readiness to be maintained alongside continued offensive preparedness. And when they refer to that offensive preparedness, they are referring to the strikes that they have already launched. You mentioned that we have seen strikes in the southern suburbs of Beirut. That is true. We have seen those start just about 20 minutes ago. We heard the very loud strike coming from Harat Hareik, which is part of the Beirut southern suburbs. And what is really I won't say surprising, but this is quite different than what we ordinarily see on a day-to-day basis here in Lebanon. As you know, since November of 2024, when that ceasefire agreement was first put into place following the 2-month war that was fought, the full-scale war that was fought between Israel and Hezbollah, Israel has never stopped hitting Lebanon. But most of those hits have been in the south of Lebanon and have been in the east of Lebanon. It's important to note that both of those regions are currently being hit with Israeli airstrikes, but at the same time, what we are seeing is airstrikes in the southern suburbs of Beirut, an area that has been hit less than 5 times, definitely over the course of the last year and change, over the last, say, 15 months. And what's really important is more than 700,000 people live there. This is probably the most densely populated area in Lebanon. I was just trying to speak to some of my friends who live in the area. Many of them are busy trying to get their family members out of that area out of fear that more strikes are to come. Efnan, we were just talking about the fact that even if Israel did not know who launched these rockets, that this response was always going to be swift and this response was always going to be big. Throughout the day, I had reported that people here in Lebanon are not just concerned about what Hezbollah was going to do, they were concerned about, even if Hezbollah did nothing, that Israel was going to use this war with Iran as a pretext to launch more airstrikes on Lebanon and drag this country into a bigger war. I'm not saying that all of the anger here is going to be directed at Israel, certainly.
I mean, this was inevitable, regardless of if Hezbollah complied or not with their continuous death, basically, because Israel has not stopped bombing Lebanon, like she said. They've continued bombing Lebanon through the ceasefire, through the agreement. They've continued, taking out Hezbollah leaders. They haven't stopped. They never stopped that. It's been a just continuous effort by Israel to make sure that Hezbollah doesn't have the capabilities that it used to. Not to where they were when they were fighting after October 7th with Israel. Before the whole pager thing. I don't know what Hezbollah's capabilities look like right now. They seem to be diminished because they haven't fought back in a long time, especially since since they implemented that ceasefire agreement, and Israel has just continued to fire upon them. In reality, though, like what's the real end game here anyway? Especially with Iran getting hit. If Iran is the one that was backing Hezbollah and got it to its state where it was, prime Hezbollah, whatever you want to call it, when they were basically 1v1ing Israel in the north. What would Hezbollah look like without Iran at all? That's a question that they have to ask themselves as a group, right? Because if Iran goes away completely, then obviously they're next. And they would be, quickly trampled over. If anything, now is the opportunity for the proxies of Iran to take advantage of a distracted opponent and, for their own survivability. That's what it seems like to me from an analysis position, from like a military analysis position. It makes sense to get involved. And I think that's why Israel and the United States, don't want them to get involved, because they do have numbers. They have numbers. I don't know how many rockets. I don't know what their inventory looks like. I don't know. I do know what it was before. But Israel's been hard at work trying to kill as many people and damage their capabilities as much as possible. This is a to be seen kind of thing, right?
A lot of the anger here in Lebanon, a very politically divided country, is going to be directed towards Hezbollah. But the big point here is that this country, nobody in this country, very, very few people in this country wanted Hezbollah to get involved in this war. This is a war that this country can ill afford. It could not afford.
They couldn't afford it before.
It very much cannot afford a new one.
Right. That includes the prime minister there. He has said the launching of projectiles from southern Lebanon is irresponsible.
Yeah, they blame Hezbollah for everything, basically. All of their woes are because of Hezbollah, not because of Israel. But that was the point of getting a president established, actually, because they didn't have a president for I think it was like 2 or 3 years, maybe longer. I don't remember exactly. Before they established the ceasefire, and as part of the ceasefire agreement was, one of the requirements when Joe Biden was around was that, hey, if we get a ceasefire going, the government of Lebanon needs to elect a president. And obviously it was going to be a president, a person that was approved by the West, by the United States. Wouldn't happen otherwise. I think Aoun was probably the one that was approved by Hezbollah themselves. The United States approved, and we've seen what the results have been. None of it in the favor of resistance group. After this has happened, there was an issue with UN, the UN being there. Israel didn't like. They wanted Hezbollah pushed back past the Litani River, basically pushed them back out of southern Lebanon. I don't know how much that happened or that was effective. But Israel basically wants a buffer zone that is half of your country, is what they want. They've done that in Lebanon. They've essentially done that to Syria. Where they've forcefully taken land. These other countries like Jordan and Egypt, they exist because they comply. They're basically on the payroll for the United States, right? That's how that goes. Yeah. But they've announced their entry into the war against the Epstein class. Here is Dmitry Lascaris posting the information. Yeah, this is the statement from Hezbollah saying that they that they're in, basically. But also, there's been a movement from the Houthis, Ansar Allah, in Yemen, who also says that they're on board.
Allah, the sovereign, the absolute truth, the manifest. And I bear witness that our Master Muhammad is his devoted servant and his final messenger, the seal of all the prophets. O Allah, send prayers upon Muhammad and upon the family of Muhammad.
This was a day ago?
And upon the family of Muhammad, as you sent prayers and blessed Abraham and upon the 28th
is the last day of February.
Indeed, you are praiseworthy, most glorious.
Yeah, but I saw this earlier. He basically goes on to say that they're on board with Iran. They won't stand for the atrocities that have happened to the Ayatollah and all everything. But They also released their own hype video. I don't know if I have. I posted it. I don't know where it is. Where'd the hype video go? Yeah, did it get removed? It didn't get removed. Oh no! My post got removed. Yeah, they got taken down. That's crazy. Oh, dude. No, let's see if I can find it else. Whatever. Probably get banned here too. All right. Anyways, yeah, they posted a hype video. Here's Charlie Kirk.
What comes after? We are just going to take out the Ayatollah. Oh, really? What comes next? What comes after regime change? Might be, oh, well, we need a small number of U.S. troops to support the new regime. We have seen this play before. Regime change, you have no idea how this is going to work out. You have no idea. We are just going to take out the...
Yeah, it sounds like a bad idea. It sounds like Charlie was onto something here. But, yeah, you know what we'll do? We'll hack their television and we'll play Netanyahu on their TV. This is guaranteed to work. You guys like TV, right? What if we put the guy that just killed your Pope on your TV? Brilliant idea. Face me, you coward. You're welcome, I guess. I don't just what was the strategy here? Anyways, back to the Strait of Hormuz, which is allegedly shut down, and also the Houthi, Ansar Allah vows to shut down the Bab el-Mandab again, the opening to the Red Sea.
Was because of a strike.
Let's
And
go
this is
back
the March 1st, 2026 edition of What's Going On with Shipping. Is the Strait of Hormuz open or closed? I'm your host, Sal Mercogliano. Welcome to today's episode. If you're new to the channel, let me introduce myself. I'm a former merchant mariner turned academic.
We need to know. We need to know what's going on.
But I also do
in the Persian
maritime
Sea.
Policy and maritime security. So this is a complex question.
And the
It is
Sea of
not
Oman.
a very clear-cut answer I'm going to give
And
you.
the Red
but
Sea.
I want you to
Tell me.
understand what is
Tell me
happening
now.
right now. In the Strait of Hormuz, this channel does not talk about politics, doesn't talk about whether or not the U.S. should be striking along with Israel, Iran. We're not talking about that. We're talking about global shipping and commerce, in particularly the flow of oil in and out
Just
of
a
the
good old
Strait of
centrist.
Hormuz. So to do that, we're going to go over to marine traffic. Anyone who wants to follow this, go load marine traffic on your phone. Pull it up on your computer. It is the best app, in my opinion, to track ocean shipping around the world. This is the Strait of Hormuz right now, and in particularly, this area here is the Strait. Up here in the north, this is Iran. Iran is all along this coast here, this northern coast, and then down here, you have the southern tip here. This is Oman, and then over here is the United Arab Emirates. And you'll notice that the strait is pretty denuded of shipping right now. Green dots represent freighters, red represent tankers. Normally you would see a big flow going through here. That would give you the indication that the Strait of Hormuz is closed. But to me, closed means it's not open for business. A door is barred. You can't go through if you want to. That's not the case here. Ships have checked up on each side of the strait. You'll notice these large red dots here, this big, huge, massive anchorage just south of the Strait of Hormuz, another one here off Fujairah, and then another one here in the UAE. Those anchorages are always there. Be clear, you go back in time and go look at this. They're always there. Ships are always kind of waiting to go into loading ports in and around the Persian Gulf and this.
I'm still mad. My post got deleted, and I didn't even get a notification about it.
region. What is happening right now is the ocean carriers, those who operate ships, largely tankers, but there's also other commercial ships that go in and out of here, have decided to basically sit back and wait a minute and let's see what happens between the U.S., Israel, and Iran. The other issue here, and the important one to understand, is war risk insurance. So everything in shipping is geared to insurance. I can't say this enough. Money is what makes this industry go around. And without insurance, ships are not going to take the risk. Shipping is all about minimizing your risk. And right now, if a ship sails through the Straits of Hormuz and gets hit by a missile, a drone, or something like that, you need war risk. War risk does not cover, basically if you get hit by a missile or drone, you are not covered if you just have your standard, what's called P&I, protection and indemnity insurance, which covers the cargo, or your H&M, hull and machinery, which covers the ship. You need what's called AP, additional protection. Sorry for all the acronyms, it's just the way industries are. You need additional protection. Well, with the strikes by the U.S. and Israel against Iran, all the insurers have said you need more insurance to sail through this, and so shipping firms are waiting. Either they won't pay the additional insurance and they're waiting for everything to subside, or they're going to have to pay the insurance to go through. No matter what, to see those little red dots start flowing back through here again, they will have to make a choice, either to get the insurance or take the risk. Understand, 20% of global oil comes out of this strait. And without those ships moving, large economies, particularly in East Asia, China, Japan, Korea, Taiwan, Vietnam, are going to run out of gas. And that's going to be a major problem.
Yo, hold on. Interruption here. Would you look at that? Past 30 days. That's the guy in Austin. Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
All right, let's go ahead and break down this for you in a little bit more detail. I want to give you that big, huge overview. But now let's look at the specific stories that have been transpiring over the past day or so. I did an update yesterday on this. You can catch that for all the bigger background issues. But today we're going to look at what's happened over largely the past 24 hours. And I'm going to show you on marine traffic how that has transpired. If you're new to the channel, hey, take a moment, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you'll be alerted about new videos as they come out. So this is the past 24 hours on marine traffic. You'll notice up here in the far north, these large cluster of green dots. These are cargo ships waiting to go into.
The U.S. Embassy in Kuwait is smoking. I'm going to assume that's a bug, not a feature.
Iran, and you'll see some vessels. This is about 24 hours ago. The last of the tankers were coming out of the Strait of Hormuz, so you're still seeing some traffic here at this time. So a couple of key stories here I'm going to run through with you, and I'll have a link to all these down in the description of the video so that you can link over to them. So Operation Epic Fury, that's the name of the operation. Iranian corvette sunk by U.S. reports, first fatalities in widening conflict. So the U.S., besides targeting strikes throughout for the political structure of Iran, they've also targeted the naval forces, and particularly naval forces that are based up here around Bandar Abbas and at a port outside in the Gulf of Oman. Not surprising they did that. They really don't want naval forces coming out. There's a big question about whether or not they have targeted yet the Iranian 3 Kilo class submarines. So we're waiting to hear that. There was a report by Iran that they used 4 ballistic missiles to strike the aircraft carrier USS Lincoln out in the Arabian Sea. That has been denied by Central Command. It's very tough to hit a moving target with ballistic missiles, especially the USS Abraham Lincoln that has a layered defense of warships, destroyers, and aircraft around it. It's one thing to hit a slow-moving freighter in the Red Sea from Yemen.
We removed your post. See why? I can't click on that. That doesn't work.
Did acknowledge the loss of 3 military personnel, probably in the strikes in Bahrain. Then we have this story by Paul Morgan over at G Captain. Choke points under pressure when geography and conflict strain the arteries of global trade. My channel has looked at choke points throughout the area, and one of the things we always talk about is how vulnerable choke points are to attacks. And these choke point attacks are extremely, the case of the Strait of Hormuz, I mentioned to you before, 20% of global oil comes out of this strait. Absolutely essential. Now, the United States does not get as much oil from here as ever before, almost none, as a matter of fact. The vast majority of this is heading to East Asia, heading over to South Asia, to India, to Indonesia, and some of it is traveling over to Europe. And we have this story from Bloomberg. President Trump's decision to strike Iran creates a new risk for a significant chunk of the world's oil supply. The Islamic Republic of Iran pumps more than 3 million barrels a day, or 3% of global output. So we get about 20 million barrels a day out of this, and 3% come from Iran. Iran right now is loading tankers up at Karg Island. This is something that they are doing. They are not stopping the flow of their oil, because understand, the country that suffers probably the worst in a Strait of Hormuz shutdown is Iran. Other countries will suffer: Kuwait, Bahrain, the UAE, and the Saudi Arabia. Now, UAE and Saudi Arabia have a little bit flexibility here, and they have pipelines that come out of the area, but Bahrain, Qatar, and Kuwait do not. They have to get out of this area, and the same with Iran. Iraq has one that kind of goes up into the northern fringes, but the southern fields of Iraq have to come out through the Persian Gulf, and that's a big issue here. Then we get this: at least 150 oil and gas tankers drop anchor in Gulf waters after strikes in Iran. I've already talked about this. These are those tankers checking up right here, waiting for either the fighting to stop or to get that additional war risk protection and sail through the region. This story comes from Lloyd's List. Trading houses suspend oil shipments through Strait of Hormuz, but traffic flows for now. So senior traders said that oil shipments through the Strait of Hormuz will be halted following radio hailings from the Iranian forces. I have that recording in my yesterday's video. No clear announcements from Iran regarding the closure.
I requested a review on my post. I'm probably going to get banned or something.
Vessels observed making U-turns in the Middle East, Gulf of Oman, but some traffic still flowing through the Straits of Hormuz, and that is true. We are seeing some traffic flow through. At least one tanker observed making a U-turn near the Bab el-Mandab Strait. Cheers, tradition here, and what's going on when shipping. When you mention the Bab el-Mandab, grab whatever you have close and have a drink.
You know, I don't flex like how many views I've gotten, but it's almost 4 million over the last couple of months. Like, it's a lot. Like, come on, man.
Sorry,
give me a
we
break.
have to have a little bit of levity here in a very serious situation. This is amid the Houthi threats. The Houthis have announced that they're going to resume strikes down in the Red Sea region. Then we get this story. Oil tanker Skylight hit off Oman coast, injuring 4 crew members. So a lot of misconceptions about this vessel. This is a small 11,000-ton, 20-year-old Palau-flagged, basically a refueling vessel. This vessel, I pulled the track for it over the past year. It operates almost exclusively within the Persian Gulf. It made one trip out to India, but almost exclusively down from Iraq down to the UAE. And what this vessel does is refuel other ships. There is a video, which I am going to show you right now, and I'm going to keep this running right here. This is the video right here, showing you the vessel on fire. Supposedly, I'll kill the audio here. Supposedly, 4 crew members were injured on board. It's a mixed crew of Indian and Iranian on board.
They did not restore
and one of the
my
things I
post.
note is the fire is located in the afterhouse. So they're saying that this was because of a strike. Again, we're only taking the words we have. This ship was not transiting the Strait of Hormuz. This ship actually was anchored just over here, just south of the Strait of Hormuz, and had been sitting there since February 22nd. So it's not like this vessel is moving. This vessel is also under sanctions by both the United States and the EU. It carried a cargo of Iranian oil back in 2023, so the ship has been held under a sanction for quite a long period of time. Not sure.
So the ship's sanctioned by the United States. Then who hit it?
Who hit this vessel, what caused the strike, but this is not a vessel that was transiting the Strait of Hormuz.
Is this a false flag? Is that what's going on here? It was in this port over here, and it was hit. It was manned by by a crew of Indian and Iranians. Very, very curious.
Then we get this story also over from Lloyd's List. This is Richard Meads. Middle East ports suspend operations amid fears of attacks. Operations suspended in Dubai, Oman, and Bahraini ports, but others remain open. Jebel Ali suspended after intercepted missile causes fire. And then they mentioned the one sanctioned oil tanker on fire, while unconfirmed reports of a second indicate an explosion. And then we have this story also from Lloyd's List regarding not tankers but container ships. Iran attacks prompt Red Sea rethink as box shipping exit the Straits of Hormuz. Carriers halt Hormuz transit, suspend Suez Red Sea routings amid Iran conflict risks. We had just had companies, Maersk, CMA CGM, and others announce they were expanding their routes through the Red Sea. Maersk was just coming back into this, and now all of them are saying they're suspending traffic through the Red Sea because of the reciprocal threat being posed by the Houthi against shipping. There are about 170 container ships totaling 450,000 TEUs, those are 20-foot boxes, are stuck inside Hormuz. Middle East Gulf ports report shutdowns and disruptions. All told, there's about 750 commercial ships inside the Persian Gulf right now, of which 170 are container ships. Freight impacts depend on how long Hormuz stays constrained. I like the word constrained. That is a good word. It's not closed. It's constrained. Some vessels may get exemptions. We're hearing this already, that some Chinese vessels are getting exemptions. And the country that needs to be talked about here is China. Because when you look at the flow of oil out of this region, out of Iraq, out of Iran, out of Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, UAE, man, where a lot of that oil flows is right over to China, and it really needs to be talked about. MSC, Mediterranean Shipping Company, CMA CGM, the large French line, and Hapag-Lloyd, which is a German line, all order ships to seek safe shelter. I have no clue where you find shelter in the Persian Gulf. I don't know. I've sailed the Persian Gulf. I don't know where you hide a 300-meter long, 1,000-foot ship in the Persian Gulf.
Go park it under the car garage or something, I guess,
and find a lot of shelter. Last thing I want to do is give you the updates coming out of the United Kingdom's maritime trade operations. UKMTO is it sounds British, and it is British, but it really provides an international service. This is where shipping will report any attacks or advisories to. It's kind of a central clearinghouse. So they've issued a series of advisories. This is update number 2 to their third advisory for 2026. The maritime security environment across the Arabian Gulf, Gulf of Oman, Northern Arabian Sea, the Bab el-Mandab, and the Strait of Hormuz remains highly volatile, with ongoing regional military activity contributing to elevated threat to commercial shipping. There is a significant military presence across the region. Mariners should be aware of the increased risk of miscalculation or misidentification, particularly to proximity to military units and other sensitive maritime facilities and infrastructure. So I want to highlight the guidance to mariners given by the Joint Maritime Information Center. First, maintain a continuous listening watch on VHF, Very High Frequency, Channel 16. This is the international hailing channel used by all ships out on the high seas. Second, ensure AIS. This is the automated identification system. That's all those dots you saw moving. Transmission in accordance with company policy. Understand there's not a requirement to have AIS on all the time. You're supposed to have it on all the time. However, there is a provision that you can turn it off in case of danger. I should also note, in and around the Persian Gulf, there is a lot of what's called spoofing. Spoofing is where there's jamming of AIS. You get these weird formations of vessels steaming in circles. That's not where they actually are. Basically, you are corrupting the system and giving false readings. You also get this: strictly adhere to established traffic separation schemes and recognize transit corridors. So one part about going through the Straits of Hormuz, when you're inbound into the Strait of Hormuz, you got to stay to the right, the northern side of the strait. And what they don't want is ships crossing in the southern area and potential head-on collisions. They don't want to cause accidents because of this event. Expect potential VHF hailing from military units and be prepared to respond professionally. I will say, if you've sailed in the Persian Gulf, the VHF communication can be at times unprofessional, and I'll leave it at that. Conduct enhanced risk assessment prior to transit, taking into account regional military activity and insurance considerations. Again, everything about shipping is insurance. I can't stress this enough. Everyone is going to minimize their risk. Ships will sail through the strait. There's no question about this. The strait is not closed. Ships will go through when they have to go through. The crews on board and even the captains have very little control over their destinations. A captain can refuse to sail through. A crew can refuse to sail. They will be replaced and a new crew will be put on. A new captain will be put on and the captain will never sail again. I mean, that's just the case. Unfortunately, that's the business that everyone's in. Immediately report unusual activity, suspicious approaches, electronic interference, or incidents to the UK MTO or other recognized reporting agencies. We then have these additional warnings. This is warning number 4. UK MTO has received a report of an incident 2 nautical miles north of Oman. The crew has been evacuated and safe. Authorities are investigating. This is the situation.
F-15 crashed in Kuwait. Check this out. I guess don't check it out. It's just going to cost more to keep it safe. Yeah, I mean that's the way. That's the whole thing about the insurance stuff, right? I don't know what I just did. I just computer's been buggy today. There we go. Oh! Uh-oh. Look, there's a big puff of smoke right there. And down she goes. I don't think you're supposed to go. I don't think it's flying in a circle on purpose like that. Other videos.
Police, yes, 1 minute. Police, yes, 1 minute, 1 minute. لا شبه الدبة 1 minute. 1 minute, 1 minute.
He's just chilling in the car.
Police, yes, 1 minute.
He had a emergency landing. Didn't work out for him very well. Crazy. Anybody recognize this guy? Rogue DNC. Fighter jet shot down in Kuwait, allegedly. I'm gonna say it looks like it was shot down. Yeah. All right, guys, we gotta post that. We gotta post that right now. I gotta download all those videos and post them. All right, I'm gonna let this
situation with the on-fire vessel, the Skylight. Then we have incident number 5. It has been reported over VHF Channel 16 that the vessel has been struck by an unknown projectile above the waterline. Although the engine room was originally reported as on fire, it has now been reported the fire is under control. So this is outside the Straits of Hormuz, south of Iran, in a region where we have seen drone and missile strikes in the past by Iran. This is not new. Go back to 2019, and Iran had a series of these types of strikes against ships in and around this area. We've also saw it in 2021. Then we have this incident number 6, the most recent one we have to date. UK MTO has received a report of an incident 17 miles northwest of Mina Sakar, UAE. The company security officer reported the vessel had been struck by an unknown projectile causing a fire. The fire has been extinguished and the vessel intends to continue on its voyage. So a lot going on in and around the Persian Gulf, the Strait of Hormuz, and out in the Arabian Sea and the Gulf of Oman. We're going to keep monitoring this situation and keep you up to date. Again, I can't tell you how much that there's a lot of misinformation flowing out there. The only threat the Iran has made toward shipping in the Gulf was over VHF-16, and that is an unconfirmed report. Iran has not said they've closed the strait. They have not announced an intention to close the strait. However, because of the war going on right now, and it is a war, when you start throwing missiles and bombs at each other, it's a war, whether it's declared or not, that is causing shipping to take a pause for a moment. I mean, again, in the Red Sea, the difference between what's happening in the Strait of Hormuz and the Red Sea is very simple. When the Houthis initiated their attacks at the end of 2023, into 2024, there was an alternative route. You can go around Africa. And because of the increased war risk insurance went from 0.02%, the value of the hull and cargo of the vessel, up to 1%. If you have a billion-dollar ship, which is what some of the large container ships are, you are not going to pay 1%. That's $10 million to go through there when you can sail around Africa, pay an extra $1 million. There was plenty of excess capacity in shipping at the time. You're going to go around Africa. You have that alternative. There is no alternative to the Persian Gulf. You've got to go through the Straits of Hormuz. It is the cul-de-sac of oil in the world. You've got to go through, and during the height of the tanker war in 1980 to 1988, the strait never closed, yet 450 ships were hit. We saw war risk insurance go up to 7 to 10% of the value of the vessel. Now, oil tankers tend to be on the small side in terms of value. They're not as expensive. However, shipping will pay that. But the other constraint we have, really important to note, is there is a finite number of tankers out in the world. Let's change over here to marine traffic one last time. This shows you all the tankers that are on the planet. Hi, I'm here in Siberia, but these show you all the tankers. Let's go ahead and weed out all the tankers and shift over here to just crude oil tankers. And this shows you all the crude oil tankers in the world. So you get an idea. You look at that line that comes out of the Persian Gulf here and heads around through the Red Sea up toward Europe and then out across the southern tip of India and Sri Lanka, through the Malacca Straits, the South China Sea, past Singapore, and up here to East Asia. Now we weed out even more here. We're just looking at ships over 150,000 tons. And you see the finite amount of ships that are out there on the planet. Then we come over here to one of my favorite sites, Tanker Trackers, who track vessels around the world, particularly tankers, obviously. But they have this stat here on dark fleet. These are the vessels that are under sanctions by the U.S., the EU, Great Britain, and a variety of nations. They are tracking right now 1,482 active ships that are in the dark fleet. But what I want to take note of right here is this: the number of tankers that are out here, including 231 very large and ultra large crude carriers. These are the biggest ones. What that means is we have a finite shrinking number of tankers out there in the world. It's one thing to constrain the Strait of Hormuz, but when you add the dark fleet and ships that are under sanctions, that fleet of tankers that were out there in the world is getting progressively smaller, which is leading to an escalation in costs. So I showed this in yesterday's report. This is Fearnley's weekly report. This ended as of February 25th, so it does not include data from the strikes against Iran. But notice here the charter rate for vessels. Basically, they're all hitting right around $40,000 to $50,000 per day. But then the very large crude carriers, these are the biggest ones, began to grow until January, when they absolutely went off the chart. I mean, we're talking right now of charters of ships over $150,000 per day. They were at $50,000 per day a few weeks ago, and now we're talking about $150,000. We could conceivably see ships jump as high as $200,000 a day. Perhaps the craziest thing is looking at the price to buy used VLCCs. A very large crude carrier at 5 years old, you can buy them for $128 million. A 10-year-old for $102 million. Understand, that price is probably more than what they paid for it when they built it 5 to 10 years ago in some cases, and expect those prices to go up because people aren't building VLCCs and ULCCs anymore. They just don't. Because what we have seen happening in the global oil market was the amount of oil that was being shipped around the world had plateaued. It basically had flattened out because of alternative fuels and a variety of other methods. We just weren't seeing as much oil going on. But due to that constraint in the number of ships out there, because of the dark fleet sanctioning, the U.S. grabbing 10 Venezuelan tankers, the Russian dark fleet not being allowed into ports, we are basically further constricting the number of ships out there. And with what's going on in the Strait right now, this is going to send crude oil prices and crude oil charters through the roof. And yes, unfortunately, you are going to see that metastasize at the pumps when you go pay for gas for your car. Even if crude oil is not coming to you, this is going to cause global fuel prices to increase. We'll keep you up to date and provide further updates as we get more information. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, hey, take a moment, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so be alerted about new videos as they come out. Leave a comment, share it across social media, and if you can, support the page. How do you do that? You hit the super thanks button down below or head on over to Patreon and become a monthly, yearly subscriber. Until our next episode or something hits the fan, which is potentially possible because one thing we learned in shipping, ship happens. The Sal, sign off.
Oh, Sal. Don't stop being yourself. Yeah. All right, one last one. I'm gonna call it here after
destruction. The essential act of war is destruction, not necessarily of human lives, but of the products of human labor. War is a way of shattering to pieces materials which might otherwise be used to make the masses too comfortable and hence in the long run too intelligent. If leisure and security were enjoyed by all alike, the great mass of human beings who are normally stupefied by poverty would become literate and would learn to think for themselves. And once they had done this, they would sooner or later realize that the privileged minority had no function and they would sweep it away. The problem was with how to keep the wheels of industry turning without increasing the real wealth of the world. Goods must be produced, but they need not be distributed. And in practice, the only way of achieving this was by continuous warfare. In a physical sense, war involves very small numbers of people, mostly highly trained specialists, and causes comparatively few casualties. The fighting, when there is any, takes place on vague frontiers whose whereabouts the average man can only guess at. In the centers of civilization, war means no more than a continuous shortage of consumption goods and the occasional crash of a rocket bomb which may cause a few scores of deaths. The object of war is not to make or prevent conquests of territory, but to keep the structure of society intact. It eats up the surplus of consumable goods, and it helps to preserve the special mental atmosphere that a hierarchical society needs.
Yeah. Very informative. All right, that's it for me, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and call it here. Wait, hold on.
So,
Yeah, one on CBS.
Messed up really bad.
Texas Democratic Senate candidate James Tallarico.
Stephen Colbert says network reporters at CBS told him he could not air an interview with State Representative James Tallarico.
Now, as an institution, CBS has been around for almost 100 years. But in the past year alone, they've sure been working overtime to diminish whatever esteem they had garnered as a professional broadcasting network.
CBS News, America's newest place to see BS News.
After its acquisition by the Ellison dynasty last year, one of the richest and most powerful oligarchical families in America, so-called journalist and free press cretin Barry Weiss was promoted from editor of a Substack to editor-in-chief of CBS News by David Ellison, where she spent most of her time either covering for friends of Jeffrey Epstein, attempting the impossible task of humanizing Erica Kirk, defending federal agents who execute American citizens in the streets, and suggesting we pay less attention to Twitch streamers like Hassan Piker to instead elevate upstanding members of society like Alan Dershowitz, which I guess kind of ties back into the first thing I said.
All of us see that the choices that it feels like we have sometimes, which is Hassan Piker and Tucker Carlson, those don't actually represent our values. I was in Chicago where Dana Lash, former spokeswoman from the NRA, was debating Alan Dershowitz on guns. Now, these are people that have wildly different different opinions on the Second Amendment, showing that they can have good faith disagreement and still like each other at the end of the day. We think it's important.
But above all else, Bari Weiss's ultimate talent seems to be her knack for defending Donald Trump, no matter how poorly it reflects.
At this point, I think James and Jasmine are just Dems who will do Dem things. I do agree. I agree with that statement.
Yes. On her or the
Bari was being paid by Cenk through Wolfpack. What?
That's literally how she got the job. No other reason, really. We're talking about someone with zero experience working in network television, being handpicked by an ally of the Trump regime to rule over one of America's longest-running news behemoths. Why else do you think she's there? Back in December, she was slammed by critics for quashing a 60 Minutes investigation into CCOT, the notorious El Salvador torture camp that Trump has been using to house immigrants abducted by ICE. And just the other day, it was announced that Anderson Cooper would not be returning as a 60 Minutes correspondent despite a 20-year history with the program. But that's just the backdrop of the story I want to get to today. Now that we've got the relevant context out of the way, cue late-night talk show host Stephen Colbert and woke pastor James Tallarico. Now, I don't know how much you've been keeping up with the newest wave of senatorial elections. In fact, I understand if you haven't, there's kind of a lot going on right now in the world. But clearly, I'm someone with too much time on my hands, and here in my home state of Texas, we're in the midst of a heated primary race to see which Democrat will have the chance to potentially flip one Senate seat blue come November. No, it's not going to be Ted Cruz's seat, as much as I wish he would leave public office for good and shut the f*** up forever. No, it's John Cornyn up for re-election, and there's a chance he may not even make it.
Would it be better if Ted Cruz was actually appointed to the Supreme Court? Then we wouldn't have him anymore here in Texas. That would be good, right? Reality sucks.
Passed his primary against Texas Attorney General and indicted scumbag Ken Paxton. If our two senators become Ted Cruz and Ken Paxton,
oh my God, I hate
Texas
this guy.
Off from the rest of the union and let it drop into the ocean, man. Just for the good of everyone else, I'll sacrifice myself. I don't care. The two main Democrats duking it out right now are U.S. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett of Dallas and state legislator James Tallarico of Travis County. The race has been a pretty interesting one to watch, and I might get into it more in depth in another video later. But for this one, I just want to focus on Tallarico's recent appearance on The Late Show, or should I say his non-appearance, because the segment didn't actually end up airing on CBS. Stephen Colbert explained Monday night that as he was planning to have Tallarico on the show, he had been warned ahead of time, in no uncertain terms, by the network's lawyers that they could not have him on the broadcast, before being told, in some uncertain terms, to not talk about it at all on the show, which of course Colbert rejected instantly by talking about it on the show.
Because my network clearly doesn't want us to talk about this, let's talk about this.
According to him, they weren't even allowed to show a picture of the man. That's just a stock photo of a regular white guy, which I guess is kind of already what James Tallarico looks like. Let's be real. See, this all had to do with an old rule that's been on the books
Go Greg
for
Stoker
decades.
for Texas 31st. If I could vote for him, I would.
Or Section 315 of the Communications Act. Signed into law a long-ass time ago, the rule states that American radio and television broadcasters that provide a platform to one candidate must also extend the same invitation to all other candidates competing in the race. If you ask me, it's sort of an outdated provision, since the internet now means you can have unrestrained access to any candidate you want, any hour of the day. However, there have historically been exceptions to the rule. Television talk shows and other news media have never really had to comply with it. Brendan Carr, the current chair of the FCC responsible for regulating this stuff, acknowledged himself in a memo released this January that the FCC's Media Bureau determined that the interview portion of The Tonight Show with Jay Leno qualified for the Equal Opportunities exemption as a bona fide news interview. However, in that same memo, Carr suggests that actually, maybe we shouldn't be having those exemptions for talk shows that are partisan, right? Partisan in what way, Mr. Carr? That's what I'm wondering. He argued that the FCC has not been presented with any evidence that the interview portion of any late night or daytime television talk show program on air presently would qualify for the bona classified news exemption. Moreover, a program that is motivated by partisan purposes, for example, would not be entitled to an exemption under long-standing FCC precedent. So he's basically threatening to clamp down on shows that have partisan biases. Though I think anyone who expects Brendan Carr to pursue this issue fairly across both sides
Fox
of the
News?
political aisle is smoking crack. Here is a photo of Brendan Carr wearing a gold lapel of Trump's side profile as opposed to the usual American flag. This made headlines last year on account of the FCC being, in theory, an independent regulatory agency that operates outside the whims of any single president. But as it became clear back in September, when Carr attempted to kick Jimmy Kimmel off the airwaves over fairly innocuous comments he made in the wake of Charlie Kirk's assassination, the FCC is merely another weapon used by Trump to cudgel dissidents. As the president suggested back then, in no uncertain terms, that because the late night circuit gives him only bad publicity and press, I would think maybe their license should be taken away. Which, for the record, would be a clear violation of free speech. And I mean an actual one. I don't mean when someone says something stupid online and gets pushback from people only to cry, but what about my free speech? No, dude, it's the government that's not allowed to censor speech. The First Amendment is very clear on this. But I guess since we live in a society where the law is an afterthought, if Trump and Carr had their way, the late night Jimmys of the world would be run out of town for good. Don Lemon would be thrown behind bars. Political candidates they don't like would be cast off the airwaves. Which brings us back to Colbert. I'll be honest with you, I'm not the biggest fan of Colbert's tenure at The Late Show.
Same.
I used to love when he had the Colbert Report on Comedy Central back in the day. I actually think it played a massive role in forming my political worldview as the young, impressionable 13-year-old I was, but that was a long time ago. And his newer stuff just hasn't really hit for me personally.
Skibbity Biden.
Skibbity Biden. Skibbity Biden.
But that doesn't mean I can't call out a free speech violation when I see it, just as I did with Jimmy Kimmel, a man whose show I also couldn't really care less about. I don't watch late night TV.
The pain
I watch
I just
meth
felt.
battle Jester Gooner's fun max at the club like any normal person my age. But that said, I did go ahead and watch the band interview with James Tallarico, which The Late Show posted on its YouTube channel as a snide little fuck you to the network after they prevented it from airing. But that's not how CBS described it. The following day, the network released a short statement without consulting Colbert that read, "The Late Show was not prohibited by CBS from broadcasting the interview with Representative James Tallarico. The show was provided legal guidance that the broadcast could trigger the FCC equal time rule for two other candidates, including Representative Jasmine Crockett, and presented options for how the equal time for other candidates could be fulfilled." Then, in what sounds like a dig at Colbert, they wrote, "The Late Show decided to present the interview through its YouTube channel with on-air promotion on the broadcast rather than potentially providing the equal time options." This predictably prompted reactionaries to take to Twitter and denounce the lying Stephen Colbert as the fraud that he is, apparently. According to conservative truth teller Eric Erickson, a name that I cannot believe is real, the broadcast rule is very simple. Stephen Colbert could have on Tallarico, but he'd have to give equal time to Tallarico's opponent. But Colbert didn't want to give a black woman time on his show. Forget the fact that Jasmine Crockett has literally been a guest on Colbert's show more than James Tallarico has.
Please welcome.
Yeah, if she was on the show, why didn't they give time to Tallarico, huh?
Welcome back to The Late Show, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett.
What about that?
CBS here is to believe that Stephen Colbert, a liberal who has no issue booking liberal guests, would refuse to platform the liberal Jasmine Crockett. Why would he refuse to platform Crockett, especially when he's already done it? It's complete bullshit. CBS knows it and Stephen Colbert knows it. On Tuesday night, he responded to the statement directly, confirming that he had not been contacted before it was released and that he had actually given them his entire script ahead of Monday's show, which they had approved.
They know damn well that every word of my script last night was approved by CBS's lawyers, who, for the record, approve every script that goes on the air, whether it's about equal time or this image of frogs having sex.
He even used the actual language that the lawyers had demanded he use, which makes the statement they put out all the more bizarre, almost like it was just a way for the increasingly unpopular network to do some last-minute ass covering.
Now, this is a surprisingly small piece of paper considering how many butts it's trying to cover.
What's especially ridiculous to me is that Carr has written off Colbert's accusations of censorship by claiming that he and Tallarico lied for the sake of getting attention and raising campaign donations.
You had a Democrat candidate who understood the way that the news media works, and he took advantage of all of your sort of prior conceptions to run a hoax, apparently for the purpose of raising money and getting clicks.
And make no mistake, Tallarico has raised a lot of money as a result of this, but as far as Carr and Fox News are concerned, this is just the new Democratic hoax. First it was the Epstein files, now James Tallarico and Stephen Colbert conspiring together to torpedo Jasmine Crockett, a person who Carr definitely cares a lot about.
Well, President Trump has been so far ahead of the curve on so many issues, as you noted, on the economy, on border security, and perhaps nowhere else, when he called out the legacy media for being fake news. This was all about a political candidate trying to get attention and clicks, and the news media ran with it like lemmings. They just ate it up.
Would you have gone after them for violating the equal time rule, as Colbert said?
What we've said, as we've been very clear, is that broadcasters have a unique right and privilege, a license, and one thing they have to do is comply with the equal time rules. But complying with equal time would have meant
When has that been enforced? When's the last time that's been enforced against I used to work for CBS many years ago.
It's been a while. We're going to enforce the law and hold broadcasters accountable.
Gotta love the fact that the Chiron reads hoax right as Carr is verbally confirming to Laura Ingraham that he would have in fact enforced the rule against Colbert had he moved forward with the interview on CBS. So where's the hoax then? It can only be one or the other, I'm pretty sure. Also, you know he thought this was a bar because he dropped it multiple times.
I think yesterday was a perfect encapsulation of why the American people have more trust in gas station sushi than they do in the national news media.
And it's why people have more trust and faith in gas station sushi today than they do in the legacy news media.
My main concern has to do with networks doing nothing to push back against implicit and explicit threats made by this administration to police political speech. It was the lone threat that caused CBS to apply pressure. And I'm sure it's no coincidence that ABC is also dealing with a similar issue.